In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the newly released Grok 4.5, which released yesterday from XAI. And I have to say, this is the first Grok model that truly puts XAI on the map. With Grok 4.5, it comes at a price at $2 per million on the input and $6 per million on the output, and a context window of 500,000. I'm going to be breaking down benchmarks. I'm going to be showing you guys what I was able to build with Grok 4.5, and I'm just going to be sharing my honest take of the model. This is definitely an important model release because, like I said, this is the first time that I'm starting to see Grok really compete. So with that being said, I do have a like goal of 500 likes on this video. I want to get started by breaking down CursorBench 3.2. Now, when we initially saw this, Grok 4.5 literally ranks number 3 on this benchmark above Fable 5 High at pretty much 1/10 of the cost. So look at this. Fable 5 Extra High scores a 68.4% at $11 per task, and Grok 4.5 High scores a 66% at $1.51 per task. But if you look very closely, there's an asterisk here. And if you click the asterisk, this is actually almost laughable, okay? It says Grok 4.5 has an advantage on CursorBench. An earlier snapshot of the Cursor codebase was unintentionally included in training. The exact score impact is unclear. That data has been removed for future models. For a rundown of third-party benchmark scores, see the Grok 4.0 launch blog. So let's go over there. But basically what they're saying is CursorBench, it performs really well. But by the way, the model just so happened to train on the benchmark. So why did they even release it in the first place? I'm currently running 4 Grok 4.5 agents inside of BridgeSpace, and one thing that is very noticeable about this model is that it is blazing fast. If you take a look at these agents, they are outputting tokens incredibly quickly, and that's one huge benefit and strength of this model is it is very fast. The first output that I want to show you guys is the Bridge Horror House game. And while we're testing it out, I want to mention that this did take 3 shots. And there's things that I'm noticing with Grok 4.5 that I don't have with models like Fable 5 or Opus 4.8 or GPT 5.5. Look at this. So this is one of the keys. Do you guys notice how I can't actually pick it up? So this is a bug that is a small bug, but is a breaking bug. Because I can't pick up that key, the game is essentially broken. If I go back over here, let's see if I can find another key because this doesn't always happen. Let's see, I can pick up a note here. Let's see. So you guys can see this. But one thing I do want to say is that this took multiple shots even to get the game to this point. Basically, when I initially created the game, I wasn't able to actually move around. The WASD controls did not work. And even now, hey, where are all the keys? I'm going into multiple rooms. Can I pick up this battery? I can pick up the battery. That's good. Here's another key. So this key I can't pick up. Oh, this one I can. Okay, so that one I can pick up. But the one that we saw earlier, I just couldn't pick it up, right? So there's interesting things that I'm noticing with this model that I would say are on par with GLM 5.2, where, hey, this is a critical piece of functionality that even just the smallest bug, right? The fact that I can't pick this up, this is a bug, a lack of attention to detail that is going to cause breaking changes in my code base if I'm using this in a real code base, right? So I can walk around, this is absolutely phenomenal output for a Grok model. If you guys are familiar with these Grok models, with Grok Build or Grok 4.3, it wouldn't have even been possible to create output that is even this good because if you look at it, hey, the graphics are pretty good and there are some small bugs. There was another bug that I had to fix initially where, for example, I couldn't open the doors up, right? So that's another small bug that, hey, that's a breaking change. That's a breaking bug that I'm experiencing, but it's much better than Grok 4.3. I think that this is reflected really well in the Artificial Analysis Coding Index benchmark. So if you look at this, one thing to note is that this benchmark is made up primarily of Terminal Bench 2.1. So if a model performs well in Terminal Bench, it's going to perform well in this benchmark as well. So if you look at this, Grok 4.5 is right here at 72.4, and Grok 4.3 is all the way over here. So that's why this is such a big model release is that, hey, you have XAI, or I guess it's SpaceXAI now, moving from 42.2, which is what? You got at least 20th place right there, all the way to 72.4. And now you're at 4th place. You're beating Sonnet 5, and you're beating Gemini 3.5 Flash, and you're beating GLM 5.2. Now, I would push back against this, and I would say it does perform well on Terminal Bench 2.1. So, for example, GPT 5.6 is launching today. That model performs super well on Terminal Bench 2.1 as well. So you're probably going to see GPT 5.6 potentially beat out Fable 5, even though Fable 5 is an incredibly good model. Hey, it doesn't do phenomenal in Terminal Bench, so it doesn't do as well as this benchmark predicts. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Our Grok 4.5 agents have all finished running. We have a Next.js website, so we can see some of the web dev capabilities. We also have a Flappy Bird iOS game that uses React Native. We have a Windows Desktop OS vanilla remake with HTML. And then we also have a flight simulator game. Here's the SaaS dashboard that it was able to create. So you guys can see some of the web dev capabilities. This is it in dark mode. There's some issues where you can see the most popular is kind of getting cut off here. But for the most part, this is a substantial improvement. There's also a couple of console errors that we're seeing, so it's not quite perfect. But the thing about Grok 4.5 is that it's so fast that if you have any issues like this, watch this. Let's expand this agent. I need you to review the console errors that we are getting and fix them. Watch how fast this is actually able to work. So if I submit this here, it works at 70 to 90 tokens per second. So just watch how fast it's able to fix these console errors. Boom. 22 seconds. 22 seconds to get that done, and they're all gone. So it was able to find the issue and fix it in 22 seconds. This is definitely what I am seeing with Grok 4.5, is that it does a pretty good job on the first pass, but there will be some nuances. There will be some bugs. I don't think that it has the one-shot capabilities that we see with Fable 5 or GPT 5.5, but we weren't expecting that, right? We weren't expecting the model to be this good in the first place. So for example, here's the Flappy Bird iOS game. Let's tap to start. And like, even with this, I want you guys to notice it's pretty good. The graphics could be improved. It's a little bit challenging to play. I'm not the best like gamer, but it does a decent job. Let's see, let's drop down. That does good. So what I find with Grok 4.5 is that on the first pass, it gets you close enough, and then you're able to iterate so quickly because it is a fast model and it's intelligent enough that, for example, we can go back here. I want you to improve the graphics and the design and also make it a little bit easier to play. For example, make it easier to jump through the rings. And then also, I would like you to slow the game down a little bit. So we could give it this prompt, right? And then very quickly, it is able to fix these issues because it's such a fast model. So here's the second pass on the Flappy Bird game. It took 1 minute and 22 seconds to be able to make these changes. And you guys can let me know what you think in the comment section down below. It looks like we have an improved counter there at the top. It did slow the game down, so now it's much easier to play, and the graphics are improved. I don't think that the design capabilities are on the same level as Opus or Fable, but I do want to mention that, hey, with this game in the first place, hey, I didn't have a bunch of bugs. I didn't even have a bunch of issues. This worked on the first shot to even create the app in the first place. This just was not possible with previous Grok models. Here's the flight simulator game. So let's get off the ground here. And I'm not the best pilot, but we have to fly through these loops. And I may not be the best pilot, but guys, it's actually very difficult to navigate and play the game. It's just the controls are very sensitive. I think that this was built in about 10 minutes with Grok 4.5, but it's very difficult to actually fly the plane. It's almost like the controls just don't work very well. Let's see what happens when we crash. Okay, crash, returning to the runway. It's okay. I don't think that the game dev capabilities are anywhere close to what Fable 5 is able to produce, but you have to know that, hey, for example, with the horror game that we built, this was built in 5 minutes using Grok 4.5, where the bridge horror house that you guys saw at the start of the video, that was built with Fable 5 in 1 hour. So that kind of gives you an idea for how token efficient this model is and how fast it is. That you had a game that did a pretty good job. Now you had some issues, but with Grok 4.5, I was able to create it in 5 minutes. It had some bugs, but I was able to fix the bugs. With Fable 5, it did get it right on the first shot, but it took an hour to get there in the first place. Here are the results of the Windows OS rebuild. So remember, this is just a single HTML file, but if I click on any of these apps over here, none of them actually open up. So I'm clicking Paint right now. It doesn't actually open up. I have to actually click this button down here to open up any apps. And then once I do that, the apps work just fine. So here's Paint, here's Minesweeper. I actually don't even know how to play that. But if we go to Notepad, Notepad looks good. That works well. And then Recycle Bin, it looks like Windows, right? But there's just certain nuances with Grok 4.5 that I find where it's, hey, this app here, the fact that it won't open, okay, this is what I'm saying about the whole attention to detail thing, is that it really gives me GLM 5.2 vibes where, yes, the model is very affordable and the model is very fast and the model is actually very intelligent, but it does miss out on key functionality and key details. Like, it's just odd that I can't open these from the desktop, right? That's just a bug that isn't the biggest deal, but it's one that you would have to go back through and prompt the model again to iterate. But with the model, because it's so fast, you're able to iterate quickly. So the question that you have to ask yourself is, hey, do I want to get this task done quickly and affordably, or do I want to get it done right on the first try? So I don't think that Grok 4.5 is meant to compete with Fable 5 or Opus 4.8. I think that it's meant to be a model that you can use to build things quickly and affordably and iterate quickly. One thing I also want to highlight is that the usage that you get with a Super Grok subscription is actually quite substantial. I was using this model extensively yesterday and today, and my weekly limit is literally at 1%. I've used 1% of my Grok 4.5 limits. I've never seen usage limits this good. I've literally used 1%. If I was using GLM 5.2 with my $80 per month GLM coding plan, I would have already maxed that plan out with just a couple hours of usage, whereas with Grok 4.5, there's no possible way that I'm hitting my weekly limit. And just so you know, they did not do a reset. So there's one more benchmark that I do want to look at, and then I'll let you guys know if this model does get the BridgeMind stamp of approval. And that benchmark is the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index, okay? So Grok 4.5 is now right in line with some of the frontier models. Look at this. It scores 54 on this benchmark. Grok 4.3 scored a 38. So really the big storyline of Grok 4.5 is that this is a substantial jump in capabilities for Grok models, and Grok is now on pace to become a frontier SOTA model by the end of the year. I think that Grok 5 has incredible potential to be way better than the existing Fable 5, because with Grok 4.5, what I would say about the model now is it's in line with GLM 5.2. From my experience and what I've seen with the model so far, I would say that it reminds me a lot of GLM 5.2, where it's a very good model that is able to get you very close to what you want. Like, for example, the Flappy Bird game had no issues with getting React Native set up and getting Expo configured and getting it run on the iOS simulator. There were a couple things that I wanted to change with it. So with the horror game, we saw that there were a couple bugs, like me not being able to move around or me not being able to open doors, but it did create the output. Whereas with Grok 4.3, we literally tested this before Grok 4.5 came out. Grok 4.3 just created a black screen, okay? So that's literally the difference in capability that you're talking about. You're talking about going from black screen to fully working horror game that can actually start to work once you figure out some of the bugs, but it does not have the same one-shot capabilities as GPT 5.5 or Fable 5 or Opus 4.8. But with that being said, does this model get the BridgeMind stamp of approval? And yes, this model is the first Grok model to get the BridgeMind stamp of approval. You guys will see me using Grok 4.5 in my workflow, and it really comes down to a couple things. Okay, first of all, the usage that you get with a Grok build subscription with Super Grok, okay, is absolutely insane. 1% of my weekly limit after using the model in the ways that I have over the past, 16 hours, almost 24 hours now, is absolutely insane. I feel like I have unlimited usage to this model. I can't say the same about using GLM 5.2 with the GLM coding plan. I also want to say that the speeds of this model are absolutely off the charts. You are able to iterate with it so quickly that it makes it so that even though there are bugs, you're able to do things at a much faster pace. I give something to Fable 5, it's able to one-shot it, but it takes 30 minutes. I give a task to Grok 4.5, it is able to do it in 5 minutes. It may not be perfect, but I'm going to be able to get it perfect within 15 minutes. So it's going to be a model that you can iterate incredibly quickly with. I think that SpaceXAI has done a phenomenal job. The Cursor acquisition has totally paid off, and I'm very excited for what's to come with Grok. But with that being said, I hope that this video was helpful for you guys, and if it was, make sure you drop a subscribe to BridgeMind and let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the future.